Sometimes the most dangerous words don't come from strangers. They don't echo in dark alleyways or come wrapped in obvious threats. No, they come softly. From someone who smiles at you, holds your hand, looks you right in the eyes, and says all the right things. Until suddenly, they don't. They come disguised as compliments, wrapped in charm, dressed like love. But beneath them something is hiding. Something your gut picks up on, even if your heart doesn't want to believe it. Maybe you've been there. Maybe you've heard a guy say something and thought, wait, what did that really mean? It hits you hours later. It loops in your mind while you're trying to sleep. Or worse, you felt it in the moment, that tiny twist in your stomach, but you brushed it off because everything else felt right. Or because you didn't want to seem too sensitive, or dramatic, or paranoid. But here's the truth. Sometimes, it's not your heart that speaks the truth. It's your instincts. And ignoring those instincts can cost you more than you realize. In this video, we're going to talk about 6 things men say that might seem normal, even harmless, at first. But in reality, they're subtle red flags. Psychological cues. Signals that something deeper is going on. Something that, if left unchecked, can turn affection into manipulation, and warmth into control. These aren't just throwaway comments. They're carefully shaped puzzle pieces in a larger pattern of behavior. And once you learn to see the pattern, you'll never look at these phrases the same way again. So, if you've ever doubted yourself, if you've ever heard words that didn't match the energy behind them, if you've ever second-guessed that small quiet voice inside your chest, then this video is for you. Let's talk about what those red flags sound like, and why psychology says you should never ignore them. Number 1. I don't do feelings. Let's begin with one of the most deceptively casual lines you might hear early on in a relationship. He leans in slightly, flashes that charming, disarming smile, and says it like a joke. I don't really do emotions. Or maybe it's quieter, almost apologetic. I've never been good at expressing how I feel. Or maybe he says it like a badge of honor. Feelings just complicate things. And in that moment, you might not even flinch. Because he doesn't seem cruel. He's not raising his voice. He's not being rude. In fact, he seems honest, vulnerable, human. You might even admire his self-awareness. You tell yourself, maybe he just needs time to open up. Maybe he's been hurt before. Maybe if I'm patient, I'll be the one he finally trusts. But here's the reality, the psychological red flag that too many people overlook. When someone tells you they don't do feelings, they're not confessing a flaw. They're setting a boundary, a wall, a limit, around how deep they're willing to go. It's not about trauma alone. It's not about not knowing how. It's about not being willing to try. He's present, but he's not there. He responds, but he doesn't connect. He listens, but he doesn't feel with you. It's like being with a shadow that talks. Psychology calls this emotional unavailability, a defense mechanism built to protect the self by keeping others at a safe emotional distance. It often comes from unresolved childhood wounds, avoidance attachment styles, or past betrayals. But here's the hardest truth. His pain doesn't excuse your suffering. Because over time, you'll feel it in ways you can't explain. You'll share your heart, and he'll change the topic. You'll cry and he'll grow silent. You'll want to be seen, but feel invisible. It's not that he doesn't care. It's that he doesn't want to care deeply. Because caring deeply means responsibility. It means effort. It means emotional work. And to someone who doesn't do feelings, that's too much. So what happens next? You begin to carry the emotional weight for both of you. You explain both your feelings and his. You rationalize his distance. You lower your expectations. You stop asking for more, just to keep the peace. But here's the danger. Love without emotional safety is like a house without a foundation. It might look fine from the outside, but eventually, it will collapse. Exclamation mark red flag translation. When he says, I don't do feelings, he might as well be saying, I won't hold space for your emotions. I won't open the door to mine. And if things get too deep, I'll either shut down or shut you out. Because love, real love, isn't about perfection. It's about showing up when it's messy. It's about leaning in, not pulling away. It's about sharing not just the laughter, but the tears, the fears, the silences between words. You deserve a connection where emotions are welcomed, not dismissed. Where your feelings aren't too much, but simply part of being human. So if a man tells you, "I don't do feelings," don't romanticize it. Don't see it as a challenge. Don't believe that your love alone can unlock what he refuses to face. Because your heart is not a project. It's a place. And it deserves to be held, not avoided. Red flag number 2. All my exes were crazy. You're sitting across from him. The conversation is flowing. He's charming, confident, funny. He tells stories that make you laugh, maybe even blush. Then, somewhere between his third story and fourth compliment, he says it casually like it's no big deal. My ex? Oh, she was completely insane. Every girl I've dated turned out to be toxic. I've just had really bad luck with women. He might even laugh afterward, like it's just a harmless joke. And for a second, you wonder, should I be worried? But he seems so normal, so well-spoken. And if all those women were the problem, maybe you'll be the one who's different. The one who isn't crazy. But pause. Listen again. Not to what he said, but to what it reveals. Pushpin in psychology, this is more than just a throwaway comment. It's called blame shifting. A behavior where someone transfers all responsibility for their past relationship problems onto others. Never looking inward. Never asking, what was my part in that? Because here's the thing. No one dates 5 crazy people in a row by accident. If every ex was dramatic, unstable, jealous, or manipulative, if every breakup was their fault, then ask yourself this. Where's his accountability? What did he learn? And why does the story always make him the victim? Psychologically speaking, people who demonize their exes often struggle with self-awareness. They rewrite history, not because they're lying outright, but because they can't sit with the discomfort of their own flaws. It's easier to say, she was the problem, than to say, I hurt her. I didn't listen. I shut her out. And here's where it becomes dangerous for you. If he's never owned his part in past relationships, he hasn't grown. He hasn't healed. He's still carrying the same habits, the same ego, the same denial, right into the next chapter of his love life, which could now include you. And now, you're the next crazy ex in the making. Because people who constantly criticize their past partners are often setting the stage, not just for manipulation, but for emotional gaslighting. They condition you to believe, if we fight, it must be my fault. If I react, I must be too sensitive. If I express myself, maybe I'll become just another psycho in his story. So you start shrinking. You second-guess your tone. You silence your feelings. You walk on eggshells, just to avoid becoming the next villain in his mental narrative. And yet, that's exactly how control begins. Red flag. When a man speaks badly about every woman before you, it's not just a reflection of their behavior. It's a reflection of his mindset. Because here's the truth. Not every ex is perfect. Some relationships do involve pain, betrayal, or immaturity. But someone who is truly healed doesn't speak with bitterness. They speak with reflection, with empathy, with growth. They say things like, it didn't work, but I learned from it. We both had our flaws. That chapter taught me what I want, and what I need to work on. But when a man paints every ex as toxic and himself as the eternal victim, you're not hearing a story about them. You're hearing a story about him. A man who avoids emotional responsibility will always need a villain to protect his own ego. And if history is any clue, that villain could one day be you. On-screen text fades in. If every ex was crazy, ask what he's not telling you. Because the way he speaks about his past is often a glimpse into your future. Number 3. I'm just being honest. But it hurts you. Narrator. Don't be so sensitive. I'm just being honest. That's what he says, right after his words hit you like a punch you weren't ready for. But let's pause for a moment. Because what's really going on here isn't honesty. It's a cover-up. A clever mask. A weapon disguised as virtue. Pushpin, he's using honesty as a license to be mean, to say something harsh, critical, or even humiliating, and then walk away clean. It's not truth if it's delivered without compassion. It's not honesty if it leaves you bleeding while they feel satisfied. Real honesty comes with intention. It's not about control. It's not about dominance. It's about connection. About saying the truth with care. And care means timing, tone, understanding. Not just blurting things out and calling it being real. The people who do this, who toss verbal grenades and call them truth bombs, often lack one thing: empathy. They don't pause to ask, how will this make you feel? They just want the satisfaction of saying it. They want the power that comes from hurting, but not the responsibility. Backhand index pointing right, they'll say something brutal, and then make you feel guilty for flinching. Like your feelings are the problem. Like you are overreacting. When in reality, you were just being human. Exclamation mark red flag. If someone consistently hurts you, and then blames you for being hurt, they're not being honest. They're being cruel. Because truth without kindness isn't courage. It's cruelty. And people who truly care about you don't just speak the truth. They speak it in a way that helps you grow, not shrink. Number 4. You're too good for me. This one sounds sweet, almost romantic, at first. He looks at you with those soft, serious eyes and says, I don't deserve someone like you. Your heart flutters. You might even feel lucky, chosen, admired. But take a breath. Because beneath those flattering words, something far less romantic may be hiding. Pushpin, in many cases, this isn't a confession of love. It's a subtle shield, a defense mechanism wrapped in compliment paper. You see, when someone says, you're too good for me, what they're really doing is planting a seed of doubt in you, and giving themselves a convenient escape hatch. Psychologists call it a preemptive excuse. A subconscious way of saying, don't expect too much from me, because I've already warned you. Later, when they pull away, when they fail to show up for you emotionally, when they lie, disappear, disappoint, they'll remind you, I told you I wasn't good enough. Exclamation mark. It becomes a shield, not to protect you, but to protect their behavior. A way to avoid accountability by lowering your expectations early on. And here's the twist. Sometimes, it's not even about low self-worth. Sometimes, it's manipulation. A clever way to gain your sympathy. To make you work harder to prove them wrong. So you chase them, comfort them, reassure them. It creates an imbalance. Now you're the rescuer, the healer, the one who's always trying to fix what was never yours to fix. Backhand index pointing right. But real love doesn't ask you to prove your worth. Real love shows up. It doesn't hide behind compliments that double as exit strategies. Exclamation mark red flag. If someone truly values you, they won't make you doubt your place in their life. They won't pull you in with sweet words just to push you away later. They'll rise to meet your love, not hide behind it. Because the person who keeps reminding you that you're too good for them might be hoping you'll lower your standards just to keep them. And that's not love. That's fear, wrapped in pretty words. Number 5. I don't believe in labels. It's been months. You've shared quiet nights, deep talks, playful texts, soft touches, and loud laughter. You've been there for each other in the little ways that matter. Feels like something. So one day, with a nervous smile, you ask, so, what are we? And he exhales, leans back, and says, why do we need labels? Let's not complicate things. Let's just enjoy what we have. At first, that sounds cool. Relaxed. Mature. Free-spirited. No pressure, no drama. Just good vibes. But behind that breezy answer, something else may be hiding. Pushpin psychologists call this commitment avoidance. It's when someone craves all the benefits of a relationship. The comfort, the emotional support, the intimacy, but shies away from the accountability that comes with defining it. They want the perks, but not the promise. The access, but not the commitment. The closeness, without the clarity. So you keep giving. You love harder. You stay patient, thinking, maybe he just needs time. Maybe if I prove I'm worth it, he'll change his mind. But deep down you feel it, that ache of uncertainty. You're building a home in someone who's only renting space. Backhand index pointing right, and here's the tricky part. He's not saying no. He's not walking away. He's keeping you close enough to enjoy your presence, but just far enough to avoid responsibility. That way, if you ever get hurt or confused, he can say, "I never said we were anything." It's a clever form of emotional insurance. For him. And emotional confusion. For you. You end up in a relationship that looks, feels, and acts like love, but without the words or the promise to ground it. Exclamation mark red flag. If someone avoids labels after months of emotional investment, it's not because they're being chill. It's because they're keeping their options open, while making sure you stay off the market. Because if they truly valued what you have, they wouldn't fear naming it. They'd be proud to define it, not dodge it. Love without labels might sound modern, but love without clarity leads to confusion. And confusion is not the foundation of a healthy relationship. Number 6. That's just how I am. You ask him, with hope and vulnerability, "Could you please communicate with me more?" Or maybe you softly say, "Those jokes you make, they actually hurt me." He listens. Or at least, you think he's listening. Then with a casual shrug he says, "That's just how I am." On the surface, it sounds like honesty, like he's simply showing his true self. But there's a hidden truth in those words. It's not bravery or transparency. It's emotional laziness. Pushpin psychologists call this a fixed mindset. When someone believes that who they are is unchangeable, they see their personality, habits, and reactions as permanent fixtures. This mindset convinces them there's no room to grow or adapt. No need to learn or change for the people they care about. But here's what real love requires: growth, flexibility, a willingness to bend, not break, to make room for another person's feelings, needs, and boundaries. No one arrives perfect at love's doorstep. Everyone carries baggage, scars, and habits. But the right person will want to walk through that door with you, learning, changing, evolving, because your happiness matters to them. When he says, "That's just how I am," he's not just stating a fact. He's building a wall. Backhand index pointing right, it's a wall that says, "I'm unwilling to meet you halfway, even when it matters most to you. Even when what you ask for isn't grand or unreasonable. Even when it's a small change that would make your connection stronger." Exclamation mark red flag. If he refuses to adjust even the tiniest habits. If he dismisses your feelings and says, "I can't change that," or "That's not me," he's telling you he wants the relationship on his terms. His comfort, his way, his rules. That's not love. That's control disguised as honesty. And it gets worse. Sometimes, this phrase comes with sarcasm, a smirk, or a tone that suggests he's untouchable, unbreakable. Untouchable by your needs, your emotions, your very presence. That kind of emotional resistance is exhausting. You try harder. You explain more. You soften your words. But the answer is always the same. "That's just who I am." It's a loop that traps you. Where your needs shrink. Where your voice fades. Where you wonder if you're asking for too much. But you're not. Because love isn't about settling for someone as they are when they refuse to grow with you. It's about two people walking forward together, adjusting their steps, listening to each other's rhythm, and creating a shared dance. Sometimes, red flags aren't dramatic or obvious. They're whispers disguised as jokes. Small comments brushed off as just how things are. Or quiet refusals hidden in words like, "I can't," or "That's just me." Your heart feels it. Your gut tells you something's off. And now, you're beginning to understand. Brain psychology teaches us that words hold power. Repeated phrases, tones, and attitudes reveal much about who someone truly is. And who they're willing to be for you. Don't ignore those little comments that tighten your chest or make you hesitate. Don't explain away the discomfort with, "Oh, he's just joking," or "That's just him." Because the person who truly loves you will never confuse or dismiss you. They will listen. Communicate clearly. Respect your feelings. And most importantly, make you feel safe and valued. If this video made you pause or reflect, please like, share, and subscribe to Best Psycho Facts, your go-to place to decode the hidden signs in human behavior. And I want to hear from you. Have you ever heard these words? Has someone ever told you, "That's just how I am," when you needed change? Share your story below. Let's support each other, grow wiser, and build healthier connections together.